CIA document on people's paranormal ability to break through spatial barriers. The picture you see is of Nina Kulagina, the citizen of the former Soviet Union. She's apparently demonstrated psychokinetic influence on physical objects. She caused quite a stir at the time, and in 1968, Western researchers attended a conference were shown a video of her in action. Are there human beings in the world who have gifted abilities that go beyond any sort of explanation? Cases of mind influencing matter that have been reported throughout human history across almost all cultures, in various texts from the Vedic scriptures and the Yoga Sutras all the way to the Bible and more. Even in ancient Greece, the Oracle of Delphi, Jesus, Moses, Milarepa, Mohammed, and many more names come to mind, and these abilities include telepathy, psychokinesis, and other phenomena that lie within the realm of parapsychology. Among the most marvelous, most frightening, and certainly most unbelievable possibilities suggested by psychic folklore is that human beings may be able to exert an observable influence upon the physical world, simply through the power of conscious intention, or unconscious intention, or by some accounts through the assistance of spiritual intelligence, or as a result of mysterious principles known as synchronicity. Some scholars, such as Stephen Browd, professor of philosophy at the University of Maryland, take such reports very seriously, claiming that no honest person could examine the case study reports and easily dismiss them. This is according to Jeffrey Mishloff from his book, The PK Man, A True Story of Mind Over Matter. Dr. Lopez Jr., professor of Buddhist and Tibetan Studies at the University of Michigan, provides a great example in describing the Buddha. With this enlightenment, he's believed to possess all manner of supernormal powers, including full knowledge of each of his own past lives and those of other beings, the ability to know others' thoughts, the ability to create doubles of himself, the ability to rise into the air and simultaneously shoot fire and water from his body. Although he passed into nirvana at the age of 81, he could have lived for an eon or until the end of an eon, if only he had been asked to do so. Experiments in psychokinesis. Fast forward to today, and there's plenty of research that's been conducted by scientists all over the world and within the highest level of government that have illustrated the fascinating phenomenon of mind influencing matter within human beings having these abilities, as well as some interesting observations at the quantum level as well. One example comes from a document I found within the electronic reading room at the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. Agencies like the CIA have long conducted research into the paranormal, and they have also kept tabs on the research and developments within this realm from other countries. However, despite the fact that there is abundance of declassified literature available within this realm that is quite mind-altering itself, it's safe to assume that most astonishing discoveries remain highly classified, at least in my opinion. The document entitled Research into Paranormal Ability to Break Through Spatial Barriers. I've cited it in many of my articles before, but never specifically dedicated an article on the document itself. This document reviews experiments by the Aerospace Medicine Engineering Institute in Beijing in China, which the CIA believes was probably military operated. It was reported in July 1990 issue of the Chinese Journal of Somatic Science, Konzi et al. 1990, and was translated into English by the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency. The document highlights experiments involving the videotaping and high-speed photography of the transfer of test specimens, such as nuts, bolts of matches, pills, nails, thread, photosensitive paper, chemically treated paper, sponges dipped in iron chloride, FeCl3, etc. Through the walls of sealed paper envelopes, double-layered KCNS-type paper bags, sealed glass bottles and tubes with sealed caps, and sealed plastic film canisters without the walls of any of these containers being breached. All of the Chinese experiments reported using gifted children and young adults who possessed well-known extraordinary PK, that psychokinetic ability, that allowed them to teleport the various test specimens. In all the experimental cases that were reported, the test specimens that were teleported were completely unaltered or unchanged from their initial state. Even the insects were approved for public release since they had been unaffected by having been teleported. Repeatable and well-controlled. According to a declassified Air Force study by scientist Eric W. Davis entitled Teleportation Physics Study, which I obtained from the Federation of American Scientists, quote, the experiments were well-controlled, scientifically recorded, and the experimental results were always repeatable, end quote. Davis also gives similar validation for early experiments in China. A more spectacular series of rigorously controlled and repeatable laboratory experiments occurred in the People's Republic of China, PRC. In September 1981, an extraordinary paper was published in the PRC in the journal Ziran Zazi, translation is Nature Journal, and this paper was entitled Some Experiments on the Transfer of Objects Performed by Unusual Abilities of the Human Body, Xu Huang et al., 1981. The paper reported that gifted children were able to cause the apparent teleportation of small objects, radio microtransmitters, photosensitive paper, mechanical watches, horseflies, other insects, etc., from one location to another that was meters away, and without them ever touching the object beforehand. The experiments were operated under exceptionally well-controlled conditions, both blind and double-blind. The researchers involved included not only observers from various PRC colleges and medical research institutes, but also representatives of the PRC, National Defense Science Commission. Because of the involvement of the latter, it was deemed necessary that an unclassified intelligence information report be prepared by the DIA, which included a detailed English translation of the article. See Xu Huang et al., 1981. The takeaway. At the end of the day, when you start exploring quantum physics, consciousness and mind-matter interactions, as well as parapsychology, which encompasses all of those fields into one, it really expands one's consciousness. There is so much we have yet to discover about ourselves, our relationship with each other, with what we perceive as our physical material universe, and the overall nature of reality. The more we progress and grow as a human civilization, the more this type of non-material science will become relevant. The advancement of non-material science and understanding of it represents the next scientific revolution. This article, CIA document on people's paranormal ability to break through spatial barriers, was originally created for collective evolution, and is published here under Creative Commons. This is on Collective Spark by Steve McCamley. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.